disruptive.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far in our temporary studio space as we're continuing to deal with the resurrection of our main studio space that was flooded out with the torrential rains that we've had the last couple days. Could have been a lot worse. We're thankful that none of our equipment got damaged or any other personal mentions, but bear with us. The show must go on. And particularly this moment, because this is, in little words, cringeworthy and I'm very speechless on what you're about to see here. So before I get into what makes this cringeworthy, let me give people a bit of backstory to this. So I'm sure that people are aware of this guy. This guy, Francis Collins, Dr. Francis Collins. He is the former director of the NIH. He is the part of the cabal that has lied notoriously through the coronavirus emergency. They have lied about herd immunity, natural immunity, the vaccines, the origins of the virus, the Wuhan lab, the gain of function research. People like him, people like Anthony Fauci, Bill Gates, other notorious figures that have purposely lied to the general public on a massive scale for their own benefits, for their own riches. These are one of the goons. This is one of the top goons that was responsible for the mayhem and disaster of the pandemic that has caused not only, substantial permanent damage when it comes to adverse side effects they were trying to hide away, the lack of information, the censorship tactics they were trying to throw at us. Not only just that, but the mental damage that is done to segregate people, how we, basically turn people into the vax and the anti-vax. It was just chaotic beyond belief. And as we saw with the National Post story that came out regarding lockdowns and mandates through research through Johns Hopkins University, we understand that the lockdowns and the mandates were proven ineffective. There was no significant changes between locking down and not locking down. So there was no benefit. There was no scientific evidence to back the claims that they were mentioning. But they moved forward with this because big pharmaceuticals aligned themselves with authoritarian governments to do tyrannical rule against citizens. So that's this guy here, Francis Collins. And he has returned to give us a message in the most disturbing way possible. I don't know how I can explain this without just showing it to you. But prepare for shock and awe, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare for shock and awe.
Poof, coronavirus came from overseas, infecting folks across the land, Seattle, NYC. A little bat's virus, love those human cells. Next thing you know, the cases grow and the world has gone to, it's a family show. Heck, poof, coronavirus came from overseas, infecting folks across the land, Seattle, NYC.
Oh my
poof,
God.
Coronavirus called COVID-19. Quickly spread like a wildfire, now we're in quarantine.
No.
Now no one can travel or even leave their homes. Schools are closed, all kids must know, avoid the danger zones. We all must do our part to protect the ones we love. So if you meet at least 6 feet and handle doors with gloves, oh, poof, coronavirus came from overseas, infecting folks across the land.
Okay, before we get into how cringeworthy and awful, disgusting this is, and how this doctor should be charged with murder of a beautiful classic song, by the way, that's supposed to be parodying the Puff Magic Dragon song that he just ruined. He ruined it with ridiculous propaganda, spewing garbage that we've heard for 3 straight years that proved ineffective about COVID. He murdered that song completely, not in a good way, not in a gangster rap way. I'm saying like he literally killed that song entirely, and now it's just ruined forever. Not only on that, but I love how he mentioned about 6 feet. Like, that was one of the, the golden rules. We had to stay 6 feet apart, which, by the way, there was no scientific evidence to prove that that was effective. That was not a scientific inquiry request. That was just something that was made up on the spot. No one knows why it was 6 feet. We could have done 8 feet, 12 feet. Who knows? We could have done random feats. Like, there's no analysis to back that claim. But he mentions about being 6 feet apart and we had to do our part and stay away from each other. As his wife is coming around him and basically like molesting him on camera as he's singing. Do you see how stupid this is? Do you see how arbitrary this all is? Like, do you see the hypocrisy? It's rules for thee, but not for me. Like your wife that's doing these weird fish move dances. I don't even know why you're doing that to begin with. Why are you doing fish dance moves? I don't understand. But then you mention about being 6 feet apart as you're groping your husband.
The Seattle NYC, poof, coronavirus.
Oh, God.
Quickly spread like wildfire. Now we're in quarantine.
No.
We miss our Camp Fantastic.
No.
And joining in the fun. The nasty little virus says don't care for anyone. An historic pandemic of its like we've never known. Proof coronavirus, how quickly it has grown. We will all get through it, but things won't be the same. What will we learn from this dark turn?
Also, I just noticed the amount of guitars he has. Not to criticize that. Like, I understand people can have hobbies. Like, my former family doctor used to play the fiddle. In fact, he retired and I switched to another doctor because he wanted to do professional fiddling. Which sounds dirty the way I said it. He retired his practice to do professional fiddling. Get your mind out of the gutter. Come on. I mean, actually playing the fiddle. How this guy is not being held contempt in Congress and being grilled relentlessly. I mean, we live in a corrupted world. We live in a world that's run by sociopaths, pathological liars, and the most criminal people imaginable. Like, the people that are in jail right now cannot hold a candle to the amount of criminal activity that happens on a daily basis by our trusted leaders. This guy should be held in interrogation, not sing you a rendition of Puff the Magic Dragon in the style of COVID. No. No, no, no. And if this is such an advanced, pandemic, why are you not helping people? You're a doctor. You're a physician. Why are you not on the front lines then? I asked the same thing with Fauci. You're supposed to be the, medical health advisor. Why aren't you not advising the other doctors? Why are you not in hospitals right now coaching people how to deal with this pandemic? No, you're just making media appearances. Why? Because they're selling you the idea of this pandemic. They're selling it to you. They're marketing this to you. They're marketing the propaganda so that big pharmaceuticals can profit off this. This pathetic goddamn charade. This is more embarrassing than what Bud Light did. This is way more embarrassing than Dylan Mulvaney. And I apologize to viewers that have to sit through this. But I might as well play the rest of it.
How will our lives be changed? COVID might be scary, but hope is on the scene. We'll
Jesus.
beat coronavirus when we have that
Oh,
vaccine.
no, get off stream.
Oh!
What? No.
Coronavirus came from overseas, infecting folks across the land. Seattle, NYC. Poof, coronavirus called COVID-19. Quickly spread like wildfire. Now we're eating Skittles in quarantine.
Did Skittles endorse this now? What? What? Why were you holding a Skittles bag? First of all, doctors should not be approving that type of candy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Skittles. I shouldn't love them because of what I know about the chemical compounds that are used to create that wax coating. If you look at it, it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing. It makes me regret why I put that into my body. Why? My brain hurts. I can't fathom this. I can't even swallow this down. Like, I feel like I need to be in a radiation shower right now to get this away from me. Why? Oh my God. That was disturbing, disgusting, and I apologize to people that had to sit through this. I apologize to the viewers that had to sit through this. I apologize to the original writers of Puff the Magic Dragon. Your classic song that stood the test of time has now been ruined by this doctor. And I apologize. I friggin' apologize for this mass murderer who just killed a wonderful song in this most pathetic, egregious way. But since he did what he did, I thought that maybe we could share and brainstorm our own little lyrics, our own little verses to add to this song. Because you notice how they didn't mention the full context of this pandemic. They didn't mention a few things that maybe we should add to this story. Maybe like something like this from Vanity Fair. Remember when they reported this story? That in a major shift, NIH admits risky funding of the virus research in Wuhan. There's a fun little verse we could sing about how Fauci and Dr. Collins and the NIH and the CDC and government officials knew that we were funding a research laboratory that was creating this virus, creating the virus that was so traumatic that we're trying to stop. And then they lied about the gain of function research, even though we know that there's a whole connection to it. They've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for decades. Gain of function is not something new. They've been doing it for decades to create these pandemic-like outbreaks to then try to combat it. But guess what? It leaked out. And if you mention about that, you were considered a conspiracy nut. You were considered a racist. You were considered an anti-Asian hatred person. You were considered a bigot for mentioning the scientific inquiry into the origin story of this virus that they lied notoriously about. Or how about, here's another fun little verse we could sing. Fauci, NIH scientists got $350 million from third-party payers. And it says a transparency group forced government to disclose hidden payments. Why is it hidden? Why would they hide this information? Why would they hide the fact that third-party payers gave the government organization responsible for your health and notorious liars like Fauci and Dr. Collins and Bill Gates and other notorious figures $350 million? Could it be the fact that those third parties are big pharmaceuticals? Could it be the fact that they're private insurers? Could it be the fact that it's other chemical, companies and monopolies that are used to make you more sick than they are trying to cure you? They're just trying to prolong your illness. There's no interest, there's no investment in curing diseases. Maybe we could come up with lyrics on that and add to that song. Just saying. It'd be nice to have some context. And here's even this. This is from Fox News, where resurfaced video of Dr. Fauci proves he lied about gain-of-function research experiments and the Wuhan lab. So I'm just spewing out, random verses we could sing about. I could tell you for sure, because my heart is just swelling with the details of how effective the vaccines are. They're safe and effective, and they will, lower the transmission rate, and I highly recommend people look into it. But, doing your own research is troubling to a lot of individuals, because doing your own research means you actually have to read things. Oh my God, can you imagine people reading things? Oh. So, I'll tell you that they're safe and effective. I'm just telling you that, random notes that I just found, adding on to that fantastic song. But you be the judge. You be the judge. And tell me how this all plays out.